Hello everyone, today we will talk about something that's crucial for every one of us, waking up to our lives. Have you ever felt like you're just coasting along, day after day, not really in control of what's happening? Well, what if I told you that your life isn't an accident, that you don't have to just sit back and let things happen to you? What if you could make intentional decisions step by step to shape your life the way you want? Stick around, because that's exactly what we're going to explore today. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this video and want to see more content like this, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. Your support helps me keep bringing content that's meaningful, and trust me, I appreciate it more than you know. So let's talk about waking up. When we're young, it feels like the world is this vast, exciting place that we can conquer. But somewhere along the way, we lose that excitement and start going through the motions. Life becomes an autopilot routine, and we don't even realize it. It's like we're sleepwalking through the days, waiting for something outside of us to change, but we don't know how to change ourselves. You might think that life is random or that things happen by chance. But the truth is, it's not an accident. Every choice you make, every little decision, leads you somewhere. The problem is, most of us don't make those decisions with intention. We let life unfold as it will, instead of directing it. That's where waking up comes in. It's about realizing that you have the power to steer your life. Let's start with a simple question. What would happen if you were to wake up and take responsibility for your choices? Imagine for a second that you stop letting life just happen to you and start making choices that reflect your true desires and goals. It's scary, right? But also kind of exciting. You have the ability to break free from old patterns, to break the cycle of waiting for things to get better. It's all about waking up to your own power. Remember, waking up isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about taking small, intentional steps every day. One choice at a time. Whether it's deciding to get up earlier, setting a goal, or making a commitment to learn something new. Little by little, you'll start to see shifts in your life. Think about it. If your life were a movie, would you be the lead actor, the one making all the decisions, or would you be the supporting character who just reacts to what's happening around them? It's time to stop letting life play you and start playing the game on your terms. Now I want to talk about something that we all love to believe: we're in control. It sounds good, right? We love the idea of being the captain of our own ship, steering through life with purpose and direction. But let's get real for a second. How many of us truly control everything in our lives? Sure, we make decisions, but how many of those decisions are influenced by outside forces we don't even notice? Society's expectations, family pressure, work demands, the list goes on. It's easy to believe we have control, but do we really? Here's the kicker: the illusion of control is one of the biggest traps we fall into. We often think we can plan out every single detail of our lives and that if we stick to a perfect plan, we'll be happy and successful. But let's face it, life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at us. No matter how much we prepare, the unexpected can and will happen. That's the nature of life, and honestly, it's kind of what makes it interesting. Think about your own life for a moment. How much of it is dictated by what other people expect from you? Maybe your parents want you to follow a certain career path. Maybe society has set up standards that you're expected to meet, whether that's about how you look, what you do, or what you achieve. It's like we're all living by someone else's script instead of writing our own. And as a result, we're not fully in control, even though we like to think we are. The truth is, most of us are more influenced by external factors than we realize. We let others shape our decisions, often without even being aware of it. This isn't to say that everything in life is out of your hands, far from it. You do have a say in your life's direction, but it's crucial to recognize how often you might be reacting to what's around you, instead of responding to your own desires and needs. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we should throw away our plans and live in complete chaos. What I'm suggesting is that you need to look at your life honestly and ask yourself, how much of this is truly my own choice? And how much am I just following a path that's been laid out for me? It's easy to think that you have control over everything, but once you realize how much of your life is shaped by external influences, that's when the real shift happens. The first step to waking up is recognizing this illusion of control, and then learning how to break free from it. Here's an interesting detail. Did you know that a large percentage of our daily actions are driven by habits? That's right. Most of the time, we don't consciously choose what we do. We're on autopilot, running the same routines day in and day out without even realizing it. Think about the first few hours of your day. Do you wake up and do the same thing every single day? You probably do. And that's okay. Habits are powerful. But they can also be limiting if you're not careful. You don't have to throw away your habits, but you do need to be mindful of them. Start asking yourself, are my habits supporting the life I want, or are they keeping me stuck in a pattern that no longer serves me? And here's where things get a little tricky. A lot of us get stuck in what's familiar. We hold on to what we know because it feels safe, even if it's not necessarily making us happy. Breaking free from this pattern can be uncomfortable. But here's the thing, discomfort is where growth happens. If you want to wake up to your life, you have to challenge the idea that everything needs to stay the same. You have to be willing to let go of the things that no longer serve you, even if they'd been a part of your routine for years. It's time to face the truth. You're not as in control as you think. But the good news is, that doesn't mean you're powerless. It just means you need to get real with yourself and start making conscious choices that align with what you truly want. Here's a quick challenge for you. Next time you make a decision, pause for a second and ask yourself if it's truly coming from you, or if it's influenced by external forces. It might surprise you how many times your choices are being shaped by something outside of yourself. Once you recognize this, you'll start to see the path forward with much more clarity. Remember, you don't have to let life happen to you. You can create your own story, one choice at a time. But first, you need to wake up to the fact that you're not always in control, and that's okay. In fact, it's the first step to taking back control in a way that's intentional and true to who you really are. Now that we've talked about the illusion of control, let's move on to something incredibly powerful: choice. While we often feel like life just happens to us, the truth is that every moment presents an opportunity to choose. And that's where the magic happens, when you start taking ownership of your decisions, both big and small. Every choice you make, whether it's about what you eat for breakfast or what path you take in your career, is shaping your life in ways you may not even fully realize. So, how do you take the reins of your life and make more empowered decisions? The first thing to understand is that you have the power to decide what your life looks like. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment, or for someone to give you permission. It's about making decisions that align with your true desires and values. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's not always as easy as it sounds. But let's break it down. When you're constantly reacting to the world around you, it's hard to take ownership of your choices. You might think you're choosing, but if you're just responding to external pressures, are you really making a choice? Think about the times in your life when you've just gone along with what others wanted, or when you've taken the path of least resistance. Maybe you chose that job because it was safe, or you stayed in a relationship because it was comfortable. But deep down, was that really what you wanted? Here's the thing, you have the ability to choose differently. The power of choice lies in the fact that you don't have to stick with the familiar if it's not serving you anymore. Even when life feels uncertain or scary, you always have the option to choose a different direction. But what's even more powerful is the idea that you can choose with intention. Imagine if, instead of just reacting to life's demands, you made decisions based on what you truly want. What if you were to choose things that align with your values, your long-term goals, and your personal vision for your life? It's easy to get caught up in what others expect from us, but choosing with intention means making decisions that reflect who you really are. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional with your choices. Whether it's deciding to take that leap into a new career or making the decision to end a toxic relationship, every choice you make is a step toward living a life that truly reflects your desires. So why not make each decision count? Here's an odd thing that often happens. When we talk about taking responsibility for our choices, people tend to feel overwhelmed. They start thinking that they need to make huge, life-altering decisions all at once. But the truth is, the most powerful decisions often happen in small, everyday moments. The decision to wake up 15 minutes earlier to meditate. The choice to spend more time with people who lift you up instead of draining your energy. It's not always about the big things. It's about the cumulative effect of the small decisions that can shift the course of your life. And this leads us to something important. Not making a choice is also a choice. Every time you procrastinate, avoid a tough conversation, or let fear dictate your actions, you're still making a decision. But that decision isn't an intentional one, it's a passive one. So, if you want to wake up and take charge of your life, you need to start recognizing when you're not making a conscious choice. It's time to stop letting life choose for you and start taking ownership of your future. Remember, it's not about always making the right decision. It's about making decisions that align with who you are and what you want, even if it feels uncomfortable. Growth happens when you step out of your comfort zone and trust that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. A simple way to start taking control of your choices is by setting an intention for the day. When you wake up, ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? It could be as simple as choosing to be present during your workday, or deciding to tackle a task that you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, set a clear intention, and throughout the day, check in with yourself to see if you're still aligned with that intention. This practice can help you feel more focused and in control of your choices, even when life is busy or unpredictable. But here's a twist. What if your choices aren't just about your own happiness? What if the choices you make also impact the people around you? This leads us to an interesting dynamic: how our choices can affect our relationships. Whether it's choosing to listen more, spend time with loved ones, or show up when you're needed, your decisions ripple outward and shape the lives of others. It's a reminder that while your life is yours to live, it's also connected to the people around you. And sometimes, the most empowering choices are those that benefit not just you, but also the people you care about. So, what's the takeaway here? The power of choice is the ability to shape your destiny. No one else can make your decisions for you. You are the one who gets to decide what your life looks like. But here's the catch: you have to choose with intention. You have to make decisions based on what you truly want, not what others expect from you or what feels easiest. It's time to wake up and start making choices that align with who you are and the life you want to create. The good news? It's never too late to start. Every decision you make today is a step toward waking up to the life you're meant to live. Past. That's right, the baggage we carry around, whether it's from childhood, past relationships, or even old dreams we've long given up on, can create a weight that prevents us from fully embracing the present and future. It's like trying to walk up a steep hill while carrying a backpack full of rocks. It slows us down, makes us tired, and sometimes, it just feels impossible to move forward. But here's the thing: your past doesn't have to define your future. You can break free from those chains and start fresh. But first, you have to acknowledge the ways in which your past is influencing you today. And let's face it, that's not always easy. The past has a way of creeping into our present, shaping how we view ourselves and the world around us. Sometimes, we let the mistakes of the past define us. Other times, we let the hurt or trauma hold us back from moving forward. Take a moment and think about this. How often do you catch yourself thinking about something that happened in the past, and how that thought affects what you're doing today? Maybe you made a mistake at work, and now you're second-guessing every decision you make. Or perhaps an old relationship ended badly, and now you carry a fear of trusting anyone again. These are examples of how the past can influence the present if we don't take the time to address it. But here's the secret: you have the power to let go of the past. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's possible. The first step in breaking free is understanding that you don't have to carry that baggage forever. It's a choice, and just like with everything else in life, you can choose to let go. And yes, I know what you're thinking. It's not that simple, right? Well, it's not necessarily easy, but it is simple. You can start by acknowledging the hold your past has on you. Whether it's forgiving yourself for past mistakes, letting go of regret, or even seeking therapy or counseling to process old wounds, taking that first step toward healing is essential. One of the most powerful ways to let go of the past is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing your past as something that defines you or something that holds you back, try viewing it as something that has shaped you. Every experience, good or bad, has contributed to who you are today. But who you are today doesn't have to be limited by what happened yesterday. You can choose to take the lessons from the past and use them as stepping stones to move forward. Now, here's something that might sound a bit odd. Sometimes, holding on to the past is a form of comfort. You might not think of it that way, but think about it. When we hold on to past experiences or beliefs, it's like we're clinging to the familiar, even if that familiar thing isn't serving us. We might resist change because it feels too uncertain or scary. But here's the reality: change is the only constant. So why not embrace it? I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, but embracing change means letting go of the past. And that's where the freedom lies. When you stop letting old stories dictate your future, you open yourself up to endless possibilities. It's about reframing your mindset and realizing that today is where the magic happens. The past is gone, and the future is waiting for you to create it. Think about this: if you were to fully let go of the weight of your past, what could you accomplish? What could you create? Imagine waking up every day without that nagging voice in your head telling you that you're not enough or that you've already messed things up too many times. What would it be like to move forward without the burden of old regrets, past mistakes, or old hurts? That's the kind of freedom we're talking about here. It's not about erasing your history, it's about understanding that you don't have to let it define you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending that things never happened. It means releasing the emotional grip that your past has on your present. It means choosing to heal, to grow, and to move forward, rather than staying stuck in a loop of regret or fear. It's a process, but it's also a choice. And here's where things get a little more complicated. Letting go of the past also means embracing vulnerability. You see, when you hold on to the past, it's often a way of protecting yourself. You're afraid of being hurt again, so you keep the walls up. But vulnerability, as counterintuitive as it seems, is actually a powerful tool for growth. It's about allowing yourself to feel the emotions, to acknowledge the pain, and then letting it pass. It's about embracing your full humanity, even the parts that you might prefer to hide away. So, how do you start letting go? It starts with small steps. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for a mistake you made years ago. Maybe it's deciding to stop comparing yourself to someone else. Maybe it's deciding that, from this day forward, you will choose to create a new story for yourself. Whatever it is, take that first step. Because once you begin, you'll find that the weight of your past becomes lighter and lighter, and you'll start to move through life with more freedom and more joy. Remember, your past doesn't have to be a prison. It can be the foundation upon which you build a brighter, freer future. But you have to be willing to let go. So, take a deep breath, acknowledge where you've been, and choose to create something new. Now that we've taken a look at how our past can hold us back and how we can choose to let go of it, let's dive into something that's essential for creating a life that feels intentional and fulfilling: living with intention. You see, life doesn't just happen on its own. It's up to you to live with purpose and direction. But living with intention doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. It's not about perfection or having a blueprint for your life. Rather, it's about being mindful of your choices and aligning them with what you truly want. So, what does living with intention really look like? Let's break it down. It's about taking a step back from the day-to-day grind and asking yourself what you truly want out of life. It's about moving away from the default settings that society, family, or even your own habits have put in place for you. It's about making decisions based on your values, your passions, and your long-term goals, rather than just reacting to whatever life throws your way. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself doing something just because it was what you should do, or because it's what others expect from you? Maybe you took a job you didn't really care about because it was the responsible thing to do. Maybe you stayed in a situation that didn't serve you because you didn't know how to make a change. When you live without intention, it's easy to get caught up in the motions of life without ever asking yourself, is this really what I want? Living with intention means asking that question, and actually listening to the answer. It's about being conscious of where you're directing your energy, and whether it's taking you closer to where you want to go. It's easy to get stuck in the day-to-day routine, but what if you made small, conscious shifts in your choices every day? What if you decided to spend your time doing things that truly light you up, rather than things that drain your energy? It's not about making huge, life-altering changes all at once, although those can happen, too. It's about making incremental decisions that are aligned with your goals. Maybe it's choosing to spend more time with people who inspire you, or maybe it's dedicating 10 minutes each morning to meditate and reflect on what you truly want for the day. Living with intention doesn't mean having a perfectly planned life. It means being present and mindful of the direction you're headed. One of the best ways to start living with intention is by setting clear goals. When you know where you want to go, it's much easier to make decisions that align with your vision. These don't have to be huge goals either. Small goals, like committing to read a book every month or learning a new skill, can be just as powerful as larger, more ambitious ones. The key is to have something that gives your life direction, something to focus on. And here's where it gets a little tricky. You have to be honest with yourself about what you truly want. Often, we make decisions based on what we think we should want, or what others want for us. But to live intentionally, you need to ask yourself, what do I really want deep down? This isn't always an easy question to answer, especially if you've been living according to someone else's expectations for a long time. But this is where the power lies, the ability to listen to your own heart and make choices that align with who you are, not who others think you should be. For example, you might have always been told that success means climbing the corporate ladder, but maybe you've realized that what really matters to you is finding work that brings you joy and allows you to help others. Or maybe you've been stuck in a cycle of pleasing everyone around you, and now you want to focus on taking care of yourself. It's okay to change the narrative of your life, and it's okay to let go of old expectations that no longer serve you. Living with intention also means being mindful of your time. Time is one of the most valuable resources we have, and how we choose to spend it determines how fulfilling our lives are. It's easy to waste time on things that don't matter, scrolling through social media, getting caught up in distractions, or simply going through the motions. But when you live intentionally, you make conscious choices about how to use your time, whether that's dedicating more time to your passions, your relationships, or your own personal growth. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that living with intention doesn't mean you need to have everything figured out right now. In fact, part of living with intention is giving yourself the freedom to evolve. Your goals may change, your path may shift, and that's okay. It's about being in tune with your values and being flexible enough to adjust your course when necessary. As long as you're moving in a direction that feels true to you, you're on the right track. And here's a fun twist to this idea. Sometimes, when we start living with intention, we realize that the things we thought we wanted aren't really what we need. It's like the moment you clean out your closet and realize you've been holding on to clothes that no longer fit, or that you've outgrown them. It's the same with your goals and desires. You might find that what you thought was important doesn't actually bring you the fulfillment you were expecting. And that's okay. The beauty of living with intention is that it gives you the space to let go of things that aren't serving you and embrace what truly matters. So, how can you start living with intention today? It's simple. Start by being present. Notice where you're directing your energy, and ask yourself if it's moving you closer to your goals or further away. Start small, set one intention for the day, and see how it feels. Over time, as you make more intentional decisions, you'll begin to feel more aligned with the life you truly want to create. And before you know it, living with intention will become second nature, and you'll be well on your way to waking up to a life that is truly yours. As we've explored living with intention, there's one big obstacle that often stands between us and the life we truly want to create: fear and doubt. These two emotions are so deeply ingrained in our lives. They often dictate the choices we make, the paths we take, and the chances we avoid. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, these can all paralyze us. But here's the twist: fear doesn't have to be a roadblock. In fact, it can be the very thing that pushes us to grow and evolve, if we learn to embrace it, rather than run from it. Let's face it, No one enjoys feeling scared or doubtful. It's uncomfortable, right? But what if I told you that fear is actually a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone? That's right. Whenever you feel afraid, it's usually a good indicator that you're on the verge of something important. Fear shows up when you're about to take a leap, and even though it can be overwhelming, it's also the very thing that can propel you forward. But here's the tricky part: when fear gets too loud, it can prevent you from taking action. You start to second-guess yourself, think about all the worst-case scenarios, and even talk yourself out of doing something you truly want. You might start telling yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," or, "What if I fail?" These doubts can be paralyzing, especially when they start to spiral and take over your thoughts. It's easy to think of fear as something we need to avoid, but what if instead of avoiding it, we acknowledged it and moved forward despite it? This is where the concept of courage comes in. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And here's the thing: you can do it. You've faced fears before, and you've overcome them. Whether it was the fear of speaking up in front of a group, the fear of applying for a job, or the fear of starting something new, every time you push past your fear, you grow stronger and more confident. One interesting thing about fear is that it often feeds on the unknown. The more uncertain something feels, the more your mind starts to play tricks on you, creating worst-case scenarios that might never even happen. This is where doubt comes in. Doubt is that nagging voice in your head that tells you, "What if I'm not good enough?" Or, "What if I mess this up?" It's a constant companion when you're trying to take action towards something new or challenging. But here's an odd truth about doubt: it's not always an indication of failure. In fact, doubt can be a powerful tool for self-reflection. When you doubt yourself, it can be a signal that you're challenging your limits and questioning your old beliefs. It's a sign that you're growing and stretching into new territory. So instead of seeing doubt as a negative force, try to view it as a signal that you're on the right path. The most successful people aren't the ones who never doubted themselves. They're the ones who took action despite their doubts. To get past fear and doubt, you have to start by accepting that these emotions will never fully disappear. Fear and doubt are part of being human. The key isn't to eliminate them, but to learn how to navigate them. One way to do that is by taking small steps toward your goal, rather than waiting for the fear to completely subside. Every time you take a step, the fear becomes a little less intense, and the doubt becomes a little less overwhelming. It's like walking into a dark room and turning on the light. The more you move forward, the clearer things become. But here's where things get even more interesting. Sometimes, the fear we feel isn't even about the actual task at hand, it's about what other people might think. This fear of judgment, rejection, or criticism can hold us back more than anything else. We might fear that others will think we're not good enough, or that we'll be ridiculed for trying something new. But here's the truth: the opinions of others aren't the defining factor of your worth. You have to learn to trust yourself more than you trust the opinions of others. An odd thing happens when you start taking action despite your fears. You begin to realize that fear isn't as powerful as you thought. The more you face it head-on, the more you'll discover that it's just an emotion. It doesn't have to control your actions. And when you start to feel that fear, but move forward anyway, you'll experience a shift in your confidence and resilience. You'll see that the things you were once afraid of aren't as scary as they seemed. One way to overcome fear and doubt is by focusing on why you want to take action in the first place. What's your true motivation? Why does this goal matter to you? When you connect with your why, it gives you the strength to move past the fear. Your purpose becomes the anchor that keeps you grounded, even when doubt creeps in. So, whenever you feel scared or doubtful, remind yourself of your why. Remember why you started, and let that motivation guide you forward. Living a life of intention means living authentically and bravely, even when it's hard. The fear and doubt will always be there, but they don't have to control you. Every time you face them, you're strengthening your resolve and building your ability to take action in the face of uncertainty. So, the next time fear or doubt tries to hold you back, remember that you have the power to push through it. Keep going, even when it's uncomfortable. The life you want is waiting for you on the other side of that fear. And here's a final thought: If fear and doubt were easy to overcome, everyone would be living their best lives, right? But it's the people who push through those feelings, step by step, that achieve the most growth. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear to take action. You just need to embrace it, keep moving forward, and trust that you have what it takes. Now that we've tackled fear and doubt, let's talk about something that often trips us up when we're trying to move forward: change and uncertainty. Change is inevitable. It's the one thing in life that we can be absolutely sure of. Yet, most of us resist it. We want things to stay the same because the familiar feels safe. But here's the paradox: growth only happens when we step into the unknown. If we're always clinging to the familiar, we're not giving ourselves the chance to evolve into the person we're meant to be. Change, especially when it feels uncertain, can stir up a lot of emotions. It can feel unsettling, even terrifying, and we often find ourselves asking, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if I make the wrong choice? But here's the thing: you can't predict the future, no matter how much you plan or prepare. And while that may seem daunting, it's actually where the magic happens. Uncertainty isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Now let's break this down a bit. Most of the time, we resist change because we're afraid of losing what we already have. We cling to the security of our current situation, even if it's not ideal, because stepping into the unknown feels like a risk. But what if the greatest risk is staying stuck in a situation that no longer serves you? What if the real danger is not changing at all? Change doesn't mean you have to turn your life upside down all at once. In fact, small changes can lead to the biggest shifts. It's about having the courage to take the first step, even when the path ahead is unclear. Whether it's a change in your career, your relationships, or your mindset, the act of embracing change is a powerful way to take control of your life. The challenge with change is that it's often accompanied by uncertainty, and uncertainty can be a very uncomfortable feeling. But what if we redefined our relationship with uncertainty? Instead of seeing it as a threat, we could view it as an opportunity. Uncertainty is a sign that we're stepping into new territory, and that's where growth occurs. It's like trying a new hobby. At first, you might not be good at it, and you might feel awkward or unsure, but with practice, you start to improve. The same goes for personal growth. When you step into uncertainty, you give yourself the chance to become someone new. An interesting thing happens when we embrace change. We begin to realize that the unknown doesn't have to be as scary as we once thought. When we let go of the need for certainty, we create space for possibility. Suddenly, we're not just reacting to what's happening around us, we're actively shaping our future. And that's the power of embracing change. It allows us to take control of our destiny in ways we never thought possible. Here's the kicker: the fear of uncertainty often holds us back from making decisions. But if we keep waiting for the perfect moment, we'll be waiting forever. The truth is, there is no perfect time to make a change. The ideal moment doesn't exist. If you wait for everything to line up perfectly, you'll miss out on the chance to create the life you want. Change isn't always neat and tidy. It's messy, unpredictable, and yes, sometimes scary. But it's also the thing that propels us forward. So, how do we navigate change? It starts by accepting that it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not about pretending everything will be smooth sailing. It's about understanding that discomfort is a sign of growth. If you feel uncertain or afraid, it's okay. You're doing the hard work of stepping into a new chapter of your life. And while the unknown might feel overwhelming, remember that you have the tools to handle whatever comes your way. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to move forward without knowing exactly where you're going. Change is also about flexibility. The more flexible you are, the more easily you can adapt to life's inevitable twists and turns. You might not always have control over what happens to you, but you do have control over how you respond. By being open to change and embracing the unknown, you're allowing yourself to grow, adapt, and become a stronger version of yourself. One of the best ways to embrace change is by shifting your mindset. Instead of thinking, "What if this goes wrong?" try thinking, "What if this goes right?" Instead of focusing on the worst-case scenario, focus on the possibilities. Yes, things might not always go as planned, but by being open to new opportunities, you increase the chances of discovering something even better than what you originally expected. Here's an interesting detail. The most successful people are often the ones who embrace uncertainty with open arms. They don't have all the answers, and they don't always know how things will turn out. But they move forward anyway. They take risks, they try new things, and they embrace change even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about avoiding mistakes, it's about learning from them and moving forward. So, what does all of this mean for you? It means that if you want to create a life that feels truly yours, you need to stop fearing change. You need to stop resisting uncertainty and start leaning into it. Change is where the magic happens, it's where growth happens. And even though it might be scary, it's also exciting. The unknown is full of possibility, and every step you take toward it is a step toward the life you truly want to create. Remember, it's not about having all the answers, it's about being willing to ask the questions and take the steps, even when you don't know exactly where you're going. Life is an adventure, and the unknown is where the adventure happens. So, embrace change, embrace uncertainty, and let it guide you to new and exciting places. As we continue exploring the unknown and how it shapes our lives, let's turn our attention to one of the most important aspects of our existence: clarity. It can feel like we're swimming in a sea of confusion sometimes, especially when life throws us so many choices, distractions, and responsibilities. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos and forget what we really want. But here's the thing: clarity doesn't come from having all the answers at once. It comes from finding stillness amidst the noise and intentionally creating space to listen to yourself. Have you ever found yourself in a moment of overwhelming decision-making? Maybe you have a major life decision ahead of you, like changing careers or moving to a new city, and everything feels uncertain. It's easy to get swept up in the anxiety of what if I choose wrong? Or what if I regret this decision? But here's the truth: when you're too focused on making the right choice, you're often not able to see the possibilities clearly. The pressure to make the perfect decision clouds your judgment. The first step in finding clarity is accepting that it's okay not to have everything figured out. We live in a world where instant answers and clear paths seem to be the expectation, but the reality is that clarity comes gradually. It's a process, not a destination. The more we try to force clarity in the face of uncertainty, the more we create confusion. Sometimes, we need to step back and allow things to unfold naturally, without forcing them into a perfect mold. So, how do you create space for clarity in your life? The first thing is to slow down. It's easy to feel like you need to be constantly doing something, moving forward, checking off boxes, making progress. But clarity rarely comes when we're rushing around in a panic. When we're running at full speed, we can't hear the whispers of our intuition or take the time to reflect on what truly matters. Take a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time I truly slowed down to listen to myself? It might have been a while, right? That's because we're conditioned to keep moving, to keep striving, to keep pushing. But sometimes, the answers you're looking for don't come from frantic action, they come from moments of stillness. Whether it's taking a walk in nature, meditating for a few minutes, or just sitting quietly and reflecting on your thoughts, the key to clarity lies in giving yourself the time and space to hear your inner voice. When you create that space for clarity, something interesting happens. The noise starts to fade away, and you begin to see things with fresh eyes. You can see the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the details. You can hear what your heart is telling you, without all the external distractions and pressures clouding your judgment. Here's an odd thing that happens when you stop rushing. The solutions you've been seeking seem to appear almost out of nowhere. Maybe you've been stressed out about a particular problem, unsure of what to do next, and the moment you take a step back, the answer presents itself. It's like the pressure releases, and things become clearer. It's not magic, it's simply the power of clarity that comes from taking the time to reflect, listen, and trust the process. It's also important to recognize that clarity doesn't always come in a big, dramatic moment. It might not come all at once, and that's okay. It's more likely to come in small, subtle shifts, a little insight here, a gentle realization there. As you start listening to yourself more, you'll notice that your internal compass begins to point in the right direction. But it's a gradual process, not something that happens overnight. Another key aspect of clarity is learning to trust yourself. When we don't trust our own judgment, we're more likely to get overwhelmed by external opinions, advice, and pressures. We start second-guessing ourselves, wondering if we're making the right choice, and looking for validation from others. But the truth is, no one knows you better than you know yourself. When you cultivate self-trust, you can start to feel more confident in your decisions, even if they're not perfect. Building self-trust takes time, but it starts with small acts of confidence. It's about making a decision, no matter how small, and following through with it. It's about listening to your gut and honoring your own voice, even when the world around you is noisy and chaotic. The more you trust yourself, the easier it becomes to find clarity in the midst of confusion. And here's a key takeaway: you don't need to have everything figured out right away. We often think that clarity is about having all the answers, but that's not true. Clarity is about being comfortable with uncertainty while still moving forward. It's about understanding that you don't need to know everything right now, you just need to trust that, with time, the answers will come. And when they do, you'll be able to recognize them because you've made the space for them. Another interesting aspect of clarity is that it often requires letting go of certain attachments. Sometimes, we get so attached to a particular outcome or idea of how things should be that we cloud our ability to see things as they truly are. By releasing these attachments and allowing ourselves to remain open to new possibilities, we create more space for clarity to emerge. So, how do you begin to embrace clarity in your life? Start by committing to slowing down and listening to yourself more. Don't rush the process. Give yourself permission to sit with uncertainty for a while and trust that the answers will come when they're ready. And when they do, follow them with confidence, knowing that you've given yourself the space to hear your true desires and make decisions that align with your authentic self. Clarity isn't about knowing everything, it's about trusting yourself enough to move forward, even when the way ahead isn't fully visible. And as you begin to move in that direction, you'll find that the pieces start to fall into place, one step at a time. Now that we've talked about clarity and how to create space for it in our lives, let's shift focus to something that is often misunderstood but incredibly powerful: success. When we think of success, our minds often jump to external markers, money, status, achievements. But what if those things aren't the full picture? What if true success isn't about meeting societal expectations or checking off the right boxes, but about living in alignment with your own values and feeling fulfilled in the process? That's what we're going to explore in this section. First off, let's bust the myth: success is not one size fits all. Society often sells us this idea that success looks like a certain job title, a certain amount of money in the bank, or a certain lifestyle. But when we chase after success based on other people's definitions, we risk losing sight of what truly makes us happy. What happens when you achieve everything you thought you wanted, only to realize that it doesn't bring you the joy or fulfillment you expected? You're left feeling empty, wondering what went wrong. The truth is, external success doesn't guarantee happiness. It's possible to achieve what society considers success and still feel unfulfilled if it doesn't align with your true desires. True success is about living authentically. It's about pursuing goals that are meaningful to you, not just to others. When you're living in alignment with your values and passions, you experience a sense of fulfillment that goes beyond the surface-level accomplishments. It's the difference between chasing after things that society deems important and focusing on what truly lights you up inside. Success, in its truest form, is about living a life you're proud of, regardless of whether it looks like what others expect. This leads us to another important aspect of success: redefining it. Rather than following the conventional path of success, take a moment to redefine what success looks like for you. What are the things that matter most to you in life? Is it the ability to travel freely? The time to nurture meaningful relationships? Or perhaps it's the ability to pursue your passions without worrying about external validation? Your definition of success should be as unique as you are. When you redefine success based on your values, you give yourself the permission to create a life that truly reflects who you are. One of the most important aspects of true success is personal fulfillment. You might be thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do I know if I'm truly fulfilled? Fulfillment comes when you're living in alignment with your purpose and values. It's not about achieving specific external goals. It's about feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and peace in your everyday life. When you're pursuing things that truly matter to you, whether that's a career, a relationship, or a creative pursuit, you feel more energized, more present, and more connected to your true self. But let's not sugarcoat things. Achieving personal fulfillment takes work. It's not about waking up one day and magically feeling fulfilled. It's a journey, and along the way, you'll encounter challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But every step you take toward living authentically is a step toward true success. It's about making choices that bring you closer to the life you want, and when you're living in alignment with your values, you'll start to feel more at peace with where you are. An interesting thing about success is that it's often not linear. We've been conditioned to think that success is about climbing a ladder, step by step, until you reach the top. But the reality is that success is a winding road. It's messy, unpredictable, and often doesn't look like what you expect. There are detours, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty. But that's okay. True success isn't about a straight line. It's about learning, growing, and adapting along the way. A common event in many successful people's lives is that they don't achieve success overnight. Success takes time, persistence, and patience. You might face failures, but it's how you respond to those failures that defines your path. Success is built on resilience, on the ability to get back up after you fall, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. So, if you've experienced setbacks or challenges, know that it's all part of the journey. The road to success is rarely smooth, but that's what makes it worthwhile. Here's something odd but true: the more you focus on the process rather than the outcome, the more likely you are to achieve true success. When you get caught up in the end goal, you might miss out on the joy and growth that happens along the way. Success isn't just about reaching a destination, it's about what you learn and how you grow during the journey. When you focus on enjoying the process, you're more likely to find fulfillment in your work, relationships, and other pursuits, regardless of the outcome. So, how do you start creating your own definition of success? Begin by reflecting on what truly matters to you. What do you want your life to look like? What values do you want to prioritize? Once you have a clearer picture of what success means for you, start making choices that align with that vision. Take small steps every day toward your goals, and remember that success isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic and true to yourself. In the end, true success is about living a life that feels right for you. It's about making choices that bring you joy, fulfillment, and peace. It's not about meeting society's expectations or following someone else's definition of success. It's about defining success on your own terms and living a life you can be proud of. Now that we've redefined success and understood that it's much more than external markers, let's talk about one of the most critical elements that shape our lives: relationships. As human beings, we are social creatures. The connections we form with others play a significant role in our well-being, happiness, and overall success. But here's an important truth: not all relationships are created equal. In fact, some relationships may lift us up, while others can weigh us down. Learning to prioritize the right people in our lives is essential for living a fulfilling, authentic existence. Let's start by acknowledging something that may be uncomfortable. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that for a moment. The people around you, whether family, friends, coworkers, or even acquaintances, have a profound impact on who you are and how you experience life. If you're surrounded by people who are negative, unsupportive, or draining, it's going to be hard to stay motivated and focused on your goals. But when you surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth, you start to see your life in a whole new light. So, what does it mean to build the right relationships? It's about surrounding yourself with people who align with your values and who bring out the best in you. It's about fostering connections that are based on mutual respect, trust, and support. When you're in relationships that help you grow, you feel more energized, more confident, and more inspired to take on new challenges. An interesting thing happens when you start choosing your relationships more intentionally. You begin to see a shift in your own energy. You start becoming more aware of the people who drain you and the ones who inspire you. And you begin to make choices about where to invest your time and energy. This doesn't mean cutting people out of your life who aren't perfect, but it does mean being more mindful of how much energy you're putting into certain relationships. But let's be real, building the right relationships takes work. It's not just about finding people who make you feel good, it's about building deep, meaningful connections that are rooted in mutual understanding and support. This might mean having tough conversations, setting boundaries, and sometimes walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. And that's okay. As you grow and evolve, some relationships will naturally fade away, while others will deepen and become more significant. Here's an odd truth: sometimes, the most powerful relationships in our lives are the ones that challenge us. The people who push us out of our comfort zones, who encourage us to think bigger, and who hold us accountable for our actions. These aren't always the easiest relationships to maintain, but they're the ones that help us grow the most. If you only surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear, you won't get the feedback you need to improve. True growth often comes from the people who challenge us in a healthy, constructive way. One thing to keep in mind as you build these relationships is that they're a two-way street. If you want to have supportive, uplifting relationships, you need to give that energy back. Relationships aren't just about taking, they're about mutual exchange. It's about showing up for others, offering your support, and being there when they need you. The more you give, the more likely it is that you'll receive the kind of support and energy you need to thrive. It's also important to remember that not all relationships need to be deep or long-lasting to be meaningful. Sometimes, a simple conversation with someone who shares your interests, or a brief connection with a stranger can brighten your day and shift your perspective. You don't need to have a huge circle of friends to feel fulfilled. You just need a few genuine connections that make you feel seen, heard, and valued. As you continue to prioritize relationships that nourish you, be aware of the impact they have on your mental and emotional health. Toxic relationships, whether they're romantic, familial, or friendships, can drain your energy and hinder your growth. If you find yourself constantly giving and never receiving, or if you feel drained after spending time with certain people, it might be time to reassess those relationships. You deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not tear you down. Here's a simple practice to help you evaluate your relationships. Think about the last few times you interacted with someone. How did you feel afterward? Energized or drained? Inspired or defeated? If you're consistently feeling drained or unsupported, it may be time to set some boundaries or have an honest conversation with that person. Your time and energy are valuable, and you should spend them on people who respect and appreciate you. At the same time, don't forget to invest in the relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment. Spend time with the people who make you laugh, who challenge you to be better, and who support your dreams. These are the relationships that will help you grow into the best version of yourself. They'll be the ones who cheer you on when you succeed, comfort you when you fail, and remind you that you're never alone in your journey. So, as you continue to wake up to your life, ask yourself, who am I surrounding myself with? Are they helping me grow, or are they holding me back? Are they lifting me up, or are they draining my energy? As you build more meaningful relationships, you'll notice how much easier it becomes to live intentionally and to pursue your goals with passion and confidence. The right relationships will give you the strength, encouragement, and love you need to keep moving forward. As we've explored the importance of relationships, let's turn our attention to a key component of living a fulfilling life: vulnerability. Now, I know vulnerability can sound a little scary, especially in a world where we're constantly told to be strong and keep it together. We often associate vulnerability with weakness or fear, but here's the surprising truth: vulnerability is actually a strength. It's one of the most powerful tools you have to connect with others, grow as a person, and live authentically. Let's break it down. Vulnerability is not about airing all your deepest secrets to the world or sharing every detail of your personal life. It's about being open, being willing to show up as you are, with all your imperfections and uncertainties. It's about letting others see the real you, not the polished version you put on for the world. And while that may feel risky, It's the only way to build genuine connections and live a life that's truly aligned with your values. Now, I get it, being vulnerable can feel terrifying. We've all been hurt at some point, and it's easy to close ourselves off to protect our hearts. But here's the thing, when we close ourselves off from vulnerability, we also close ourselves off from love, connection, and growth. Vulnerability is the bridge that allows us to connect with others on a deeper level. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for others to do the same, and that's where true intimacy and authenticity thrive. Think about some of the most meaningful relationships in your life. Chances are, the moments that have brought you closest to someone were the moments of shared vulnerability. Maybe it was when you opened up about a personal struggle, or when you admitted a fear or a mistake. Those moments of honesty are what make relationships strong and real. Without vulnerability, relationships can feel shallow or disconnected. But when we show up as our true selves, flaws and all, that's when the magic happens. But let's talk about something interesting. Vulnerability doesn't always have to involve big, emotional revelations. Sometimes, vulnerability can be as simple as asking for help when you need it, admitting when you don't have all the answers, or expressing a need or desire that you've been hiding. It's about being honest with yourself and others, and allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are. Here's the kicker: vulnerability is not just about connecting with others, it's also about connecting with yourself. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're also giving yourself the permission to accept who you are, imperfections and all. We often spend so much time trying to meet other people's expectations that we forget to honor our own truth. But embracing vulnerability means accepting yourself fully and allowing yourself to grow from a place of authenticity, rather than fear or shame. Now, I know that vulnerability can feel risky. What if you're rejected? What if you're judged? These are valid concerns. But here's something surprising: the more you practice vulnerability, the more you realize that it's actually the key to personal growth and resilience. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're not just opening yourself up to others, you're also building emotional strength. Each time you face the fear of being vulnerable and do it anyway, you build your capacity to handle rejection, criticism, and discomfort. It's like flexing a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Think about this for a second. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be vulnerable with someone, whether it was a friend, a partner, or even yourself? How did it feel? Scary? Liberating? Vulnerability can be both, but ultimately it's empowering. The more you practice it, the more you'll see how it deepens your connections, strengthens your resilience, and leads you toward personal growth. Here's an odd truth: the things we fear most, rejection, judgment, failure, are often the very things that teach us the most. When we're vulnerable, we're giving ourselves the opportunity to confront these fears head-on. And guess what? More often than not, those fears don't turn out to be as scary as we thought. When we face our vulnerability, we discover that we are far more resilient than we realize. We also learn that we don't need to hide or protect parts of ourselves to be loved or accepted. We are worthy of love and connection just as we are, flaws and all. But here's a gentle reminder: vulnerability is not about oversharing or putting yourself in situations where you feel unsafe. It's about being honest and authentic in a way that feels right for you. It's about setting boundaries and being intentional with the people you allow into your inner world. You don't have to be vulnerable with everyone, but when you do choose to open up, do so with people who respect and value you for who you are. True vulnerability requires trust, and it's important to surround yourself with people who honor that trust. One way to practice vulnerability is by starting small. Maybe it's sharing something personal with a close friend, expressing your true feelings about a situation, or admitting that you don't have all the answers. Vulnerability doesn't always have to be grand or dramatic. It can be as simple as being honest with yourself about your desires or fears. Here's another surprising thing: vulnerability can be incredibly empowering. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we give ourselves the freedom to be real and to stop pretending. And when we stop pretending, we open ourselves up to living a more authentic life. No more hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone we're not. When we embrace vulnerability, we step into our true power. So, what's the takeaway here? Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's the key to building deeper connections with others, to living authentically, and to embracing your own truth. It's not about being perfect or having it all together, it's about showing up as you are and allowing yourself to be seen. Embrace vulnerability, and you'll find that it leads to deeper relationships, greater resilience, and a life that feels more aligned with who you truly are. As we've embraced vulnerability and learned its power, let's talk about another transformative practice that can shift the way we see the world and ourselves: gratitude. It's a simple concept, yet one of the most powerful tools for cultivating a positive, fulfilling life. We often think of gratitude as a fleeting feeling, something we feel on Thanksgiving or when something good happens. But the truth is, gratitude is a mindset, a way of viewing the world that can profoundly impact our perspective, relationships, and overall happiness. Gratitude is more than just saying, "thank you," when someone does something nice for you. It's about actively recognizing the blessings in your life and intentionally focusing on the good, even when things aren't perfect. It's about choosing to see the glass as half full, rather than half empty. When you make gratitude a regular part of your life, you start to notice the beauty and joy in even the smallest moments. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses that allow you to see the world through a lens of appreciation. One of the most interesting things about gratitude is how it shifts your energy. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're not just thinking positively, you're creating a vibration of abundance and appreciation. It's like planting seeds of positivity in your life, which grow over time and start to affect the way you see yourself and others. Gratitude has a ripple effect. The more you practice it, the more you start to notice the little things that bring you joy, whether it's a warm cup of coffee in the morning, a kind word from a friend, or the beauty of nature. But here's the kicker: gratitude doesn't just come naturally. It takes practice, especially in a world that often focuses on what we lack rather than what we have. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, comparing ourselves to others, and feeling like we're not doing enough or having enough. But gratitude pulls us out of that mindset of scarcity and reminds us that we have enough right now. It's about being content with what you have, even while you work toward your goals. Let's look at an interesting fact. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can actually improve your mental health. When you focus on the things you're thankful for, you reduce stress, anxiety, and even symptoms of depression. Gratitude shifts your brain from a state of worry and fear to a state of appreciation and calm. It rewires your mind to focus on the positives, rather than dwelling on the negatives. So, it's not just a feel-good practice. It's a scientifically backed tool for improving your overall well-being. The great thing about gratitude is that it doesn't require anything external to start practicing it. You don't need to wait for something big or extraordinary to happen in your life to feel grateful. You can start right now, with whatever you have. In fact, the more you focus on the small, everyday blessings, the more abundant your life will feel. It's about shifting your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. Even on tough days, there's always something to be grateful for. It could be something as simple as a roof over your head, food to eat, or the love of friends and family. Now, let's talk about an odd detail. It's possible to experience gratitude even in difficult times. It may sound counterintuitive, but gratitude doesn't require perfection or a perfect situation. In fact, the most powerful moments of gratitude often come when we're facing challenges. When we learn to be grateful for the lessons we gain from adversity, we start to see the hidden blessings in every experience. Gratitude helps us reframe even the toughest situations, allowing us to focus on what we've learned and how we've grown. This leads us to something really important. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for the big things, it's about noticing the small moments too. It's easy to take everyday blessings for granted, but when you pause and truly appreciate the small things, life becomes richer and more fulfilling. Maybe it's a hug from a loved one, the sound of laughter, or the simple pleasure of a quiet moment. These are the things that, when appreciated, can fill your life with more joy than any material possession ever could. One of the best ways to cultivate gratitude is by making it a daily practice. Start each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. It could be anything, from the warmth of the sun on your skin to the support of a friend. It doesn't have to be big or profound, just small, genuine moments of gratitude. Over time, this practice will start to shift your mindset, and you'll begin to see the world differently. The more you focus on what you have, the more you'll attract positivity into your life. But here's another interesting twist. When you practice gratitude, you also practice acceptance. It's easy to resist what we don't like about our lives, but when you practice gratitude, you start to embrace what is. You begin to see that even in difficult circumstances, there are things to appreciate. Gratitude is about accepting life as it is, even while striving for more. It's about being at peace with the present moment, knowing that you're already abundant in many ways. As you continue to practice gratitude, you'll start to notice that it doesn't just change your mood, it changes your life. The more you appreciate what you have, the more you'll find yourself attracting positive experiences, opportunities, and people. Gratitude is magnetic. When you focus on what you're thankful for, you align yourself with the energy of abundance, which brings more to be grateful for. It's like a cycle. Gratitude breeds more gratitude, and the more you focus on the good, the more good comes into your life. So, here's a challenge for you. Today, take a moment to pause and appreciate what you have right now. Notice the small things that often go unnoticed, and make a mental note of what you're grateful for. Start building a daily gratitude practice, and see how it transforms your perspective on life. The more you focus on the positives, the more joy you'll find in the everyday moments. Gratitude isn't just something you feel, it's something you practice. And the more you practice it, the more abundant and fulfilling your life will become. As we move forward in this journey of self-growth and transformation, let's now address something that is essential to navigating life's challenges: resilience. Life is not always easy, and we all face setbacks, failures, and unexpected obstacles. But what defines our journey is how we respond to these challenges. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to keep going when life gets tough, and to maintain hope and strength in the face of difficulty. Resilience is not about avoiding hard times, it's about how we face them. It's the capacity to endure through challenges, to learn from them, and to rise above them. Think of it like a muscle. When you experience hardship, you don't break. Instead, you adapt, you strengthen, and you grow. Resilience is what enables you to continue moving forward, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. One of the most interesting things about resilience is that it's not an innate quality that only some people have. It's a skill that can be developed and cultivated over time. Just like any other skill, the more you practice resilience, the stronger it becomes. When you face challenges head-on, you learn new ways of coping, and each experience builds your emotional strength. Over time, you start to realize that you can handle much more than you thought, and that the tough moments are temporary. They don't define you. Now, let's talk about something that might sound a little counterintuitive. Resilience doesn't mean being unaffected by hardship. In fact, the most resilient people are often the ones who allow themselves to feel their emotions fully. It's not about bottling up pain or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Resilience is about accepting that life has its ups and downs, and it's okay to feel sadness, anger, frustration, or fear. What makes you resilient is not avoiding those emotions but learning how to move through them, process them, and ultimately let them go. Think about it. When you allow yourself to feel and express your emotions, you release the pressure that builds up inside. If you try to suppress your emotions or pretend you're okay when you're not, you'll only delay your healing. Resilience comes from allowing yourself to feel the full spectrum of emotions, and then finding ways to keep going, even when things feel tough. It's about acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and using it as fuel to push forward. Here's an odd thing that happens when you embrace your emotions: you actually become stronger. When you accept that hardship is a part of life and that it's okay to struggle sometimes, you stop resisting the inevitable. Instead of seeing challenges as something to be feared, you begin to see them as opportunities to learn and grow. Every time you overcome a challenge, no matter how big or small, you strengthen your resilience muscle. Let's not sugarcoat things. Resilience doesn't mean that everything will always go according to plan. You will still face difficulties, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But resilience means that you don't let those moments stop you. It means that, Even when you fall, you get back up. It's about developing a mindset that sees setbacks as temporary and learning how to keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear. But how do you cultivate resilience? One of the best ways is by developing a strong sense of purpose. When you have a clear vision for your life, a sense of meaning that drives you, it becomes easier to push through adversity. Your purpose becomes your anchor, the thing that keeps you going when times get tough. This is why it's so important to live with intention and align your actions with your values. When you know why you're doing something, it gives you the strength to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. Another key to resilience is maintaining a positive mindset. Now, I'm not saying that you should pretend everything is fine when it's not, but there is power in optimism. A positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means believing that you can overcome them. It means trusting that, even when things don't go your way, you have the strength and the ability to navigate through the tough times. Optimism is a powerful tool for building resilience because it helps you stay focused on solutions, rather than getting stuck in negativity. And here's something surprising: sometimes, resilience comes from the support of others. While it's important to develop personal strength, it's equally important to have a strong support network. When you face difficulties, it's okay to reach out for help. Whether it's friends, family, or even professional support, having people who believe in you and who offer encouragement can make a huge difference in how you cope with challenges. Don't be afraid to lean on others when you need it. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. An interesting aspect of resilience is that it's often built through adversity. The more you face hardship, the more you learn how to handle it. Each difficulty you overcome adds another layer to your resilience, making you stronger and more capable of facing future challenges. Life is full of surprises, and the more you embrace the ups and downs, the more resilient you become. It's a continuous process of growth and adaptation. Now, here's a gentle reminder: resilience isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when you don't have all the answers. It's about doing your best, even when the outcome is uncertain. Resilience is about maintaining hope, staying committed to your goals, and trusting that, no matter how hard things get, you have the strength to keep going. So, how do you begin to build resilience? Start by embracing challenges, not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Learn to lean into discomfort, rather than running from it. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift and encourage you. And most importantly, believe in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. With each setback, you grow stronger, and with each challenge, you become more resilient. As we've explored resilience and how to face challenges head-on, let's now shift our focus to something that ties everything together: authenticity. In a world that often tells us how to think, how to act, and who we should be, embracing our true selves can be one of the most liberating things we can do. Authenticity is about showing up as who we truly are, without masks or pretenses. It's about letting go of the pressure to conform and choosing to live a life that reflects our true values, desires, and passions. Being authentic doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real. It means accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all, and having the courage to express that to the world. Authenticity is not something that can be faked. It's a way of being that radiates from within, and it allows you to connect with others in a deeper, more meaningful way. When you are authentic, you're not just going through the motions, you're fully present, living in alignment with your truth. Now you might be wondering, why is authenticity so important? Here's the thing: when you live authentically, you stop wasting energy trying to be someone you're not. You stop pretending to be what others want you to be, and instead, you create space for your true self to shine. This doesn't mean you have to share every aspect of yourself with everyone, but it does mean being true to who you are at your core. Authenticity is also the foundation for building meaningful relationships. When you show up as your true self, you invite others to do the same. You create an environment where real connections can flourish. Think about the people you feel closest to. Chances are, they are the ones who have shown you their true selves, without masks or facades. These are the people you trust, the ones you feel comfortable with. That's because authenticity breeds trust, and trust is the bedrock of any strong relationship. Here's an interesting fact: authenticity is contagious. When you are authentic, you give others permission to do the same. It's like a ripple effect that spreads throughout your interactions and relationships. When you embrace your true self, you inspire others to embrace theirs. This is how communities are built, how movements are started, and how deep, lasting connections are made. But let's be real for a moment: being authentic can be hard. In a society that often values perfection and external success, it can feel risky to show up as you are, without the filters and polished image. But here's the twist: the more you practice authenticity, the easier it becomes. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, like you're exposing yourself in a way that's too vulnerable. But over time, you'll realize that the freedom that comes with being authentic far outweighs the discomfort. One surprising thing about authenticity is that it can actually make you stronger. When you stop hiding behind a mask or trying to please others, you free yourself from the burden of living up to expectations that aren't your own. You stop seeking approval from outside sources and start seeking it from within. This creates a sense of inner peace and confidence, because you know that the person you're showing the world is the real you, not some version of yourself you've created to fit in. Here's something interesting about being authentic: it doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have it all figured out. Authenticity is about embracing your flaws, your quirks, and your imperfections. It's about being comfortable with who you are, even when you're still growing and evolving. It's not about pretending you've got it all together. It's about showing up as you are, in this moment, and trusting that that's enough. Another key element of authenticity is self-acceptance. In order to show up as your true self, you first have to accept yourself as you are, with all your strengths and weaknesses. This doesn't mean you don't strive for growth or improvement. It means you love yourself through the process. You acknowledge your imperfections without judgment and allow yourself to evolve at your own pace. When you accept yourself fully, you create a sense of inner freedom that allows you to express yourself honestly and confidently. Let's talk about a surprising concept. Authenticity is often misunderstood as being about doing whatever you want. But it's not about being reckless or ignoring the needs and feelings of others. Authenticity is about being true to your core values, not just giving in to impulse or selfish desires. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and making choices that align with that understanding. This means that you can be true to yourself without disregarding the feelings or boundaries of those around you. Authenticity also allows you to align your actions with your purpose. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you make decisions that reflect your values. This alignment creates a deep sense of fulfillment, because you're not just going through life on autopilot, you're actively creating a life that reflects your true desires. One way to start embracing authenticity is by listening to your inner voice. It's easy to get caught up in what others want or expect from you, but in order to live authentically, you need to tune into your own desires and needs. What do you really want in life? What makes you feel alive? When you listen to your inner voice, you can start making choices that align with your true self. And here's an interesting truth: embracing authenticity often leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment, even if your path doesn't look like everyone else's. The world might try to convince you that you need to follow a certain formula for success or happiness, but authenticity shows you that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. You get to define what success looks like for you, and the more you align with your true self, the more fulfilling that success will be. Remember, authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about showing up as you are, embracing your imperfections, and having the courage to live in alignment with your values. It's about being real with yourself and others, even when it feels uncomfortable. When you embrace authenticity, you create a life that feels deeply meaningful and true to who you are. As we reach the final chapter of our journey, let's reflect on everything we've discussed so far: self-awareness, resilience, vulnerability, authenticity, and living with intention. These are all interconnected pieces of the puzzle that create a life of purpose and fulfillment. But there's one more essential piece that holds everything together: the power of now. It's easy to get caught up in the past, dwelling on mistakes or regrets, or get lost in the future, anxiously anticipating what's to come. But the truth is, the present moment is where life happens. Right now, in this very moment, is where your power lies. You might be thinking, okay, that sounds good, but how do I actually live in the present? It's a great question, and the answer is simpler than you might think. It's all about mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and engaged in whatever you're doing. It's about tuning out distractions, quieting the mental chatter, and focusing on the here and now. Whether you're eating, working, spending time with loved ones, or just sitting quietly, mindfulness allows you to experience life more deeply and with greater clarity. One of the most surprising things about living in the present is how it transforms your experience of life. When we're constantly thinking about the past or the future, we miss out on the richness of the present moment. We become disconnected from the beauty of the now. But when you fully engage in the present, you begin to notice things you might have overlooked before: the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of a bird singing, the laughter of a friend. These small, everyday moments are where life's true magic lies, but they can only be fully appreciated when we're fully present. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring your past or disregarding your future. It means acknowledging them, but not letting them control your experience of today. The past is done, and the future is yet to come. The only moment you have control over is now. And when you embrace the present moment, you unlock your true potential. Here's the kicker: when you live in the present, you also increase your capacity for gratitude. When you're focused on what's happening right now, you naturally start to appreciate what you have. You begin to see the small things that make life so rich: the people in your life, the opportunities before you, the simple joys that often go unnoticed. And as we've discussed earlier, gratitude has a profound impact on your overall well-being. The more you practice gratitude in the present, the more you cultivate a sense of abundance and joy in your life. But let's dive deeper. Living in the present also means letting go of the need to control everything. So often, we try to predict or control the outcome of every situation, but this only leads to stress and anxiety. When you let go of the need for control, you allow life to unfold naturally, trusting that whatever happens, you will be able to handle it. This doesn't mean being passive or apathetic. It means accepting that some things are beyond your control and embracing the flow of life with grace. An odd thing happens when you start living in the present: you begin to feel more in control, even though you're not trying to control everything. When you stop trying to manage every detail and start trusting the process, you become more adaptable, more resilient, and more at peace. You realize that you don't need to have everything figured out right now, you just need to show up and do your best in each moment. But here's a reminder: living in the present is a practice, not a one-time fix. It's easy to get swept up in the chaos of life, to worry about the future or replay the past in your mind. But mindfulness is something you have to cultivate every day. Start by taking small moments throughout your day to pause, breathe, and focus on the present. It could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths before starting your workday, or savoring the taste of your food without distractions. These small acts of mindfulness help you anchor yourself in the present moment and gradually shift your mindset. One surprising benefit of living in the present is that it helps you make better decisions. When you're fully engaged in the moment, you're able to think more clearly and make choices that are aligned with your true values. You're not clouded by past regrets or future fears. You're able to act with clarity and confidence. Whether it's a decision at work, in your relationships, or in your personal life, living in the present allows you to make choices that are grounded in the now, rather than being influenced by external pressures or old stories. Living in the present also means embracing imperfection. In a world that constantly tells us to strive for perfection, it can be easy to become obsessed with doing everything right. But here's the truth: perfection is an illusion. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of unexpected twists and turns. And that's okay. When you live in the present, you stop chasing perfection and start embracing the beauty of imperfection. You begin to see that mistakes, setbacks, and challenges are just part of the journey, and they don't define your worth or your ability to succeed. Now, let's reflect on the bigger picture. Living in the present is the key to living a fulfilling life. When you stop worrying about what could go wrong or what's happened in the past, you open yourself up to the richness of the present moment. You become more present with the people you love, more engaged in your work, and more attuned to the small joys that make life meaningful. The more you live in the now, the more you'll realize that life isn't about waiting for the next big thing. It's about appreciating and fully experiencing the moments that make up each day. So, how do you start living in the present? Begin by practicing mindfulness in small ways, taking time each day to be fully engaged in the moment. Let go of the need to control everything, and trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Embrace the imperfections of life, and remember that every moment is a chance to start fresh. Life is happening right now, so make the most of it.